We'll get started. I want to welcome everybody to Edison Career and Technology High School. I am Walter Larkin, proud principal and alum. We want to welcome mostly our staff, a few visitors and community members. The purpose of this meeting, this public meeting, is to talk about receivership and what that means. And from there, we'll talk about Edison's data. And the biggest part of today will be to break up and discuss our set plan and get feedback from you guys moving forward. So that's the big purpose of today. So what is receivership? The state law requires persistently struggling schools to make rapid achievement gains. If your school does not meet those improvement gains based off of targets that are set by New York State, then they're required to appoint someone over your school. For Rochester, the authority to manage the school improvement plans is our superintendent. So she is the one that will be over the receivership for Edison and a few other schools. So part of that is to set targets. The New York State will be providing us with targets of why we're on the receivership. Part of it is we know it's because of our graduation rate. But once the data is released, we're hoping to come out soon, they'll also give us information on a few more targets or indicators. So currently, in Rochester, we have 5 schools that were on receivership but came off through the process. Those are schools 3, school 8, school 9, school 17, and school 45. We currently have 12 schools that are in receivership. 2 of them are from the previous cohort, and Edison is one of the new 10 schools. So of them, it's 6 elementary schools and 4 high schools, with Edison being one. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to look at some of our school data, and we're going, well, if you're on the community engagement team, please raise your hand. So part of this is we had to select a team. Edison is huge, so we have a huge team, which is good because we have community partners, teachers, administrators, students, parents, our health center, our student support center. So we have our full, we have all of our stakeholders involved that's going to be helping make these decisions. So part of it is we're together, we're going to be looking at our data as a group along with our CET team, and we're going to be providing feedback. And with that feedback, we'll come up with our receivership plan for Edison. So at this time, I'm going to call Governor Scott up. He's going to talk about some of the good that's going on at Edison and some of our data.
Good evening. It's good to see everyone. I do appreciate you guys coming out and just being here to just indulge in a conversation for us to move the needle, to have some just critical conversation about the data that we do have, and to get your input on some of the things that we just maybe need to know more about, maybe need to have conversations about, and for us to capture that information so we can come together as a community and put this stuff together and make Edison Tech one of the premiers. You can see from, I'm not sure what's on the actual screen itself, so I'll just kind of pull out here. Yeah, so you can see from our numbers as of 2/4/19, our general education population here, student classification, is 1,351 students. Our students with disabilities is 471. Our economically disadvantaged is 1,550. Our ELLs, our English language learners, are 262, and our students in our bilingual program is 51. All of our students that are here in the building do participate in our CT pathways in various ways. From this frame, you can see that right now we're serving 1,879 students between the grades of 9 through 12. That's a good amount of students that we have here in the building. You'll see our demographics are Black and African American are 62%, Hispanic Latino is 26.8%, and our Caucasian white is 7.6%, and our Asian and others is 3.6%. Here in our building, we practice restorative practice. We have restorative practices. We have an awesome school-based health center. Actually, they were located in some of their representatives as you walked in today. We have an extensive school-based health center. Many of our staff here are practiced in not practiced, but they have gone through just various trainings in regards to restorative practices. Here's just another demographic with the 1,879 students, grades 9 through 12. Students with disabilities, we have 25.8%. Students in poverty are 92.1%, and our ELLs are 14.6%. At the Edison campus, which is very different from other buildings, other schools here in the district, we have 5 pathways. One being the construction, architecture, and design pathway, one being the automotive manufacturing engineering pathway, the digital media, arts and communication pathway, and then we also have our NYSA, which is our New York State Alternative Assessment Pathway, and then we have a special program, which is our P-Tech program, which is somewhat like a pathway, but it's also, it's kind of like a 9 through 14, where our students, they attend school here, 9 through 12 grade per se, and then they go on to MCC for their associates. We actually have the director of P-Tech here, Ms. Latricia Fuller. Of course, if you have any questions, you can definitely forward those to her, but we also have a very nice view book that was actually at the table that kind of gives you a description of each one of the pathways, if you have any other questions. We have this slide here because a lot of times with the various CTE pathways that we have, many times individuals don't think we're a comprehensive school. And I like to show this because it shows that we have pretty much every sports program here in our building, along with various clubs for, it gives our students an array of just activities, ways of participating. Of course, with the core courses, and then also with the CTE pathways, we also, of course, have an array of sports and also clubs here in the building.
So we'll look at a little bit of our data. So Edison was 2 schools, and it opened up, 2 schools closed and opened up to the one unified campus. So for the last 4 years, you'll see that our graduation rate has went from 35% to 49%. We're happy with that, but we know it's a long way to go. We're still missing 51% of our students, and that is excluding our 5- and 6-year graduates. This is based on a 4-year cohort from when the students enter 9th grade. So you see we're on an upward trend, but I believe this receivership is going to help, give us the tools and the support we need to continue to move that needle. Our attendance is about at 70% average. You can see by each cohort level, some are higher. As we know, 9th graders always show up, and it kind of dips. And it's something, it's steady at 70%. We know that's a struggle here, because when you think about almost 1,900 students, if 30% are attending on a regular basis, there's some systems and protocols we have to put in place to ensure that they're coming to school. So we know that'll probably be one of our indicators. Our suspension rates got touched on at us having a school-based health center and also a student support center, along with many of the staff and students being trained in restorative practices. You'll see that our suspension rate, this one, has been on a steady decline, and we are proud of that, and we want to continue to use the tools we have in order to keep that momentum going, because the less suspensions, that means the students are here in front of us. So at this time, we're going to call up Queen Fuller, Ms. Latricia Fuller, the Director of P-Tech, and she's going to give you an overview of the tenets from the set plan.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm just going to go over basically what we're going to end up doing in our groups around our set plan, and there are 6 tenets, and I'm going to explain what those 6 are, and then you'll have more time in your groups to discuss them and give us really some good feedback that we can use as we're building our receivership plan. So the first tenet is tenet 2, because tenet 1 is the district level, so we start at tenet 2, which is the school leadership practices and decisions, and it basically says visionary leaders create a school community and culture that lead to success, well-being, and high academic outcomes for all students via systems of continuous and sustainable school improvement. That's a mouthful, right? So what does that really mean? Basically, that's based about what, as the school leaders, how do we do our school, how do we set our school culture, school policies, initiatives, how do we drive our mission and vision for our school. Tenet 3, curriculum development and support. I'm not gonna keep reading these all to you, but the whole idea with tenet 3 is about the curriculum that we use. And we know that New York State provides us with a lot of our curriculum using Common Core learning standards, New York State standards for courses, and then for Edison, a lot of the other curriculum that is not in every school is the CTE curriculum. So this is a part of that tenet, and how do we support that development and infuse things that you can think about. This also is like our assessments, Regents exams, how do we infuse culturally relevant content. All that would fall under tenet 3. Tenet 4, teacher practices and decisions. So under this again is basically about the teaching and learning that actually happens in this building, in the classroom. What does that look like? How are teachers planning their lessons? What type of instructional strategies are we using to support student achievement? So that's where we would think about, and then we also would put in there helping to develop those teacher practices would be professional development on those different practices. And again, something key to think about is culturally relevant pedagogy, which is different. How do we engage students in a different way? Differentiation, all that would fall under tenet 4. Tenet 5, we've already kind of touched on some of this with the student social and emotional developmental health. That's where our school-based health center plays a major role in supporting our students, because we all know our students come to us needing more than just what we provide in the classroom. So we're really thinking about how do we support them with those issues that's outside the classroom that impact the classroom. That could be their mental health, anything that they're going through that's making some of their choices, you know, their emotional growth, things of that nature. And also we have the student support center that we can refer students to. So you really want to think about how do we, basically what we're saying is how do we support the whole child and not just what happens in the classroom. And last but not least, which is important, this is basically what we're doing right now, this whole tenet, family and community engagement. How do we support our students as a community? And that community is not just who's in the building, that's the community outside the building, our business partners, and most importantly, our parents. And so how do we support each other? And we have quite a big community that really works with Edison, between our business partners because of our CTE programs, our parents with our PTO, and we also have other community partners that are right here in the building. Something new this year that's starting Rock the Future will be supporting us. We have Hillside, we have Center for Youth. So all these entities that come together, again, to support the child. So this is a brief overview of our tenets, but you'll have more time to delve in that when you go into our groups and really give us some feedback about how we can improve in those areas so that Edison improves. groups and basically improve our students. And now I'm going to have Mr. Scott to explain how we're going to do all that.
Thank you, Ms. Fuller. I want to just make sure that everyone, when they walked in and received one of the agendas, it's very important. On the bottom of your agenda in the right-hand corner, there should be a number. Just in case you were wondering what that number was. It is for a prize. A prize of going to that particular tenant. So on your agenda, it will show you as well. Tenant 2 will meet right here in the library. You guys will be right, we will start right here in the back of the class here. Tenant 3 will be in the other corner here in the library. So tenant 2 and tenant 3 will be here in the library. Tenant 4 will be in 2B3, which is right outside the glass doors here to your right. Classrooms 2B3, 2B2, and 2B1 are right in a row along the wall there. So tenant 4, of course, will be in 2B3, tenant 5 will be in 2B2, and tenant 6 will be in 2B1. It's very important, though, that we stay to the times. We only have 10 minutes in each one of these tenants, so it's important to dive right into the material, capture the dialogue, and then we'll have a timekeeper that will kind of go around to the rooms and kind of transition folks to where they need to go. So, of course, 1 will go to 2, 2 will go to 3, 3 will go to 4, 4 will go to 5, 5 will go to 6, and then 6 will come right over to 1. Okay? Or 2, I'm sorry. Are there any questions? Yes, the CT, did you want to?
We'll get some of our CET team members who are on those particular tenants, if they can go to their rooms, they'll be the ones taking the notes and having a conversation with everyone. So if our CET team, the tenant you're under, if you can report to maybe you're in. And if it's more than 2 of you, some of you can go around, read your feedback also. So decide amongst each other who's going to take the notes and talk, and the rest can circulate also.